This is about Left on Our Own. Wow, this was really interesting and creative. And I noticed it was the National Film Institute in Hungary. I really like a lot of our own in the United States here, films that come out of like AFI and some of NIFA and some of our great schools. So I was excited to see that. And it did not disappoint. This was so creative, unique, very nice opening with the music in the beginning and at the end with the ballerina and the music. I thought that was really cool to open it with that and also end with it. At least the music. I can't remember if the ballerina was in the beginning, but I remember seeing it at the end. Really cool shot in the beginning of the car and the road. And there was this was a great script as well, and there were some lines that I really liked. One that I wrote down is, "Instead, we got stuck with the child in each other." That was very interesting and a great line. And then another great line was, "We were supposed to raise the child in each other." Wow, such a cool take on not having kids and what that means. And that they didn't do a very good job of loving each other's inner child. It was just so cool. I think that's actually important no matter if you have kids or not. I wrote down that I really liked the shot overhead when the camera's going this way, overhead of him laying in bed when his alarm goes off. That was just really cool and very nicely done. Nice music throughout. I really loved the actor in this. I thought he just did a wonderful, wonderful job. It was almost like the scenes in the cab were improv, because I don't know if it was or not, if it was scripted completely all the way through, but excellent job, excellent directing. Really love the close-ups when he's in the cab and just throughout, the camera work in general. Just everything was great. So really well done, you guys. Wish you the best of luck.
All right, I just finished watching Left on Our Own. I thought this was a quite well done piece. It had a really great aesthetic of sort of being an in-between space between a documentary and a film. I thought it gave it a really sort of ethereal and spiritual energy that created a sort of dreamlike dreamscape feeling to the piece. I thought the opening shot with him in the room was quite well done, and almost every construct in terms of the visual rhythm of the piece was very strong. It really created a through line that connected all the character stories, and I thought the taxi driver conceit really reflected a sort of like on the ground, observational, man of the people type of aesthetic in terms of sort of interacting with the everyday person, the stories of the everyday person, and sort of finding the cinematic quality and sort of the drama between their love life, between the growth of their personal sense of self, within the relationships. I thought all these separate characters sort of reflected those themes in their own way, and I felt like the sort of aesthetic towards the end of all the characters coming in and out and then sort of staring right at the camera really created a very intimate feeling in the piece that had a sense of introspection and self-reflection that I thought really supported a lot of the cinematic choices in terms of how the film ended up being shot in a very combination of voyeuristic and very intimate setting. So I thought it was quite well done. I thought the sound design and the score really matched what you saw on screen, and I thought all the actors really provided a level of nuance that made it feel like it was a reality and it was sort of their real stories in a documentary setting. So I thought it was quite well done and quite well acted in terms of the themes and the overall energy of looking into yourself and looking into the future and looking into the past all at once to sort of accomplish an understanding of who you are in the moment and who you want to be. And I felt that each character reflected that in some way. So I thought it was quite well done overall.
It's a very, very interesting film. I love the stream of conscious nature of it. You know, it was like we were following this taxi driver around just to be able to weave us through all these different stories, you know, and I love how, you know, driving by these people that we would stop and hear their thoughts and the cinematic tableaus, the dreams that were created in those moments were really beautiful. I love the stark black and white look. Yeah, I love the dreaminess of it. Had a really good tone and a good pacing, and it was quite beautiful. Great acting all around by everybody who appeared on screen, especially the lead. Did a great job. It was well written, well conceived, nicely shot, beautifully edited, wonderful use of score, great music. yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So great job with this. I hope it does well for you. I hope it gets out there and goes places, because it's really, really nice.
There's something that brings memories of youth when we see this extreme close-up of the ballet dancer in the jewelry box spinning to the turn, and we are met with the widest dolly shot of this elderly man in bed, and right next beside him the spot is empty and it's tightly kept together, left with the burdens of not being gifted with the child, and they had to find loving the children within themselves instead. I thought was a piece that was narrated about that was really beautiful, that really resonated with me. The content of the dead man's pocket ends up becoming the contents of the nightstand in this case, covered in pills and letters. We can sense this place of grief as these words may be bouncing around this character's head and confirming that his beloved is no longer with us. I like this visual expression of his day-to-day life as a taxi driver. The cinematographer gives us a really intimate viewing of these very subtle moments that happen throughout the day. You can't live without hope, she says, and a part of me believes that that's true. The driver talks about simpler days, and now we struggle to make means meet. He brings up history of war, and while he passes the police force with their shields held high, you can get to know a lot about a person sitting in a car going from point A to point B. And the storyteller listener to my life story dynamic can come from either side of the car, and in this case it's the driver. Alone we are weak is another quote that resonated with me. As smoke fills the air and black crud covers her face, the chaos of the police surrounds her, and she's left standing in the center of the frame, waving her country's flag in a notion of peace. And she even smiles, a silence that is stronger than the storm. We receive a extreme close-up of this character shedding a single tear, and it's delicately beautiful. These words of advice left behind from his beloved on how he should continue on in the world without her, and to be sure to visit her, to buy the modern razor at the store. They're the same price. He cherishes these letters as much as he cherished her, keeping these tangible notions of love to honor her memory. I think it's really beautiful.
Left on Our Own. I thought this was really, really interesting, really good. I loved how they kind of approached a lot of it, where you start off and you think you're just, learning about this one guy and his kind of journey. And then as you're continuing, and especially when you're in the taxi, you get all these different kind of snippets, and you get all these different little, almost not stories, but little views of these, different parts of history, different people's stories, different little snippets that just kind of get given to you. And I loved how they did with the sound when you're seeing these portraits and they're just talking straight to the camera, because the sound is just a little off, so it sounds kind of echoey, and it really does sound haunted almost. And I really loved how they did that. I thought that was really fantastic, and I loved how they kept bringing it kind of back to this cab and continuing kind of bringing it back to him keeping on talking and trying to keep a conversation going, and kind of drifting from one topic to the next as you're interweaving all of these things. And I don't know if anyone's ever spent a lot of time in a cab, but you either get one of two options, or any of these current rideshare things, either get complete silence, or you get something like that where it is almost just trying to fill the space and fill the silence with just going from one story to the next to the next to the next as you kind of stumble upon it. And I really liked how they captured that with this kind of concept of when you're left on your own, like you do have all of this silence, and sometimes you will just try and fill it. And I really, like I said, I really liked how they like portrayed that.